YouTube. My name is Elizabeth and I read bouquins in French and books in English. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is a wrap-up for the event March Mystery Madness. At first I thought I would have tons of things to say, but then as I prepared and I gathered the books for my video, I realized that I didn't read as many mysteries as I thought I had. I thought that I had read at least 5, probably 6 mysteries in March, but it turns out that I read 4. Which is not that bad. And anyway, the theme was 2 by 2 and 2 times 2 equals 4. So I'm right on the theme. So that's good. That's good. So at the beginning of the month, I had made a pile of possibilities. And the ones that I had mentioned as most likely to be read were these. And it turns out that I read just one of them. And it was not even the first one that I read in the month, it was the last one that I read in the month. I actually started my month with Murder in Chianti by Kimala Trinchieri. This is the first of a series that at the moment has 2 books, maybe 3. I didn't check, but in the book they just mention one other, so it is possible that another one has been published since, but this is quite recent, so there probably aren't 10 books in the series yet. So this is set in the lovely region of Chianti in Tuscany, and that is the reason why I bought the book. I wanted to travel vicariously to Italy, and for that it works perfectly well because the setting does not play a role. The setting does not play a role, but it does create the atmosphere and it is very present. And I guess if you're from the region, you probably think it's just a whole bunch of cliches, and it's probably true. It's probably just a whole bunch of cliches, but it's a bunch of cliches I enjoy reading about. So it was really fun. Our main character is Nick. He is a former police officer from New York City. The reason why he ends up in Italy is that his wife is of Italian origin and she died and she was buried in Italy, and he sort of realized that his only family was his wife's family. So he stays in the village where his wife was buried and where her wife's family lives. And that family is a cousin, basically. It's not a big family with a great number of brothers and sisters and in-laws and all of that. It's a small family, but he feels part of it, so he stays in that village. Now, of course, as happens all the time whenever a police officer from the New York NYPD retires someplace, there will be a murder in that someplace, and the local police will be baffled and they will need the help of this retired police officer to solve the crime. And this is exactly what happens here, and it works. It's just a mystery that works for me. So I do recommend it if you've never read that series. It's well written, it is entertaining, there's a cute dog in it, and there's a beautiful scenery, and there's food, and there's a whole sort of good things there. And of course there's a mystery that works also. I guess it's important too. The mystery works. I saw it coming somewhat, but doesn't matter, it works. And as you can perhaps maybe see, there's a blurb here by Martin Walker. I thought the theme is 2 by 2, so I'm going to read something by Martin Walker, because Martin Walker is the author of the series Bruno, Chief of Police that I started last year. Last year I read the first 2, so I decided I would read the 3rd. And the 3rd is Black Diamond. The entire series is set in this gorgeous little town in south of France. It's a fictional town of Saint-Denis, but it is copied on a real city. If you look at in the first book in particular, Martin Walker mentions street names and the scenery and everything, and it's a carbon copy of Le Bug. So anyway, it's a real town that is fictionalized for the purposes of the book. So the first 2 had somewhat of a cozy atmosphere, nothing too scary, heavy focus on the city and the region and things we expect from mysteries on the cozy side. This one takes a turn for the serious. This one becomes a much more not necessarily more serious, but less cozy. There's violence in broad daylight, and it's not just a murder about domestic affairs. It's really about about a whole bunch of things going on. So Black Diamond is a reference to the truffle, the famous truffle of the Périgord, which is worth a lot of money, and there are fishy things going on in the truffle market, and then there are environmental concerns too, and there's politics, and then there is gang violence, and there's a whole bunch of things going on that make it a lot less cozy. So for that reason, I liked it less than the previous two. But I guess if you're someone who prefers their mysteries on the more serious side, a bit more hard-boiled, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It's hard-boiled as opposed to cozy. So I haven't read that many hard-boiled mysteries. I don't think this qualifies as hard-boiled, but it doesn't qualify as cozy either. So it's somewhere in the middle. If it's something you're interested in, I do recommend it. I guess you know what you like. So as I said, it's not completely cozy, but the village still plays, the small town, I guess, still plays. It's still an important backdrop, and still kind of nice to be in the south of France. So that was another vicarious travel. And then I traveled to Victorian England. I read Behind the Shattered Glass by Tasha Alexander. I don't remember where I heard the name Tasha Alexander, but I know I heard it somewhere on BookTube with a lot of enthusiasm behind it. So when I saw the book at the library, I decided to borrow it, and it was super fun. I really love that book. This book also doubles more or less as a romance, so it does fit the 2x2 theme. And for every chapter, there's an upstairs and a downstairs part, so also fits the 2x2 theme. So in this book, we are in the countryside at the estate of Lady Emily's husband, so the place where he makes his money from, whatever. So, Downton Abbey. So we are at the Downton Abbey of Lady Emily. Maybe not as big as Downton Abbey, but you know what I mean. So we are there, and they are having a gathering of some sort, and then a man comes bleeding and collapses in the living room, shattering the glass doors, and that's the murder that they have to solve. And I really like the character of Lady Emily. I liked the way it was written. I like the romance part. If you hate romance in books, maybe that's not for you. I do like a good little romance in the middle of a mystery, so that was fun, and I really liked it. So I'm going to go back definitely to other books by Tasha Alexander. This is not the first in the series, it's just in the middle. I grabbed one because it was there. I generally don't mind starting series in the middle, unless the author makes it too complicated for me to follow, but in this case, I don't think I missed anything. I think it does include a few spoilers for previous books, but I don't care for these things. So if you're somebody who does care for these kind of things, perhaps start with the first in the series because there are spoilers. But if you don't, go ahead, start with this one. It was very good. And finally, the fourth book that I read, it was the only one that was in my original pile of possibilities, and it is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Now, before I started to read this one, I knew who the murderer was because it's one of the famous ones, and I didn't care. It was fun to see how it was hidden. This time I was not so much trying to discover the truth as to figure out or to see how Agatha Christie hid the truth. And, the truth. Of course, it's not a true story, but you know what I mean. So it was the fun in this book was to see how it was constructed, how it was possible that we do not see who the murderer is before the very end. And I thought it was very cleverly done because, as I said, I knew who the murderer was. And right at the beginning, I thought, well, it doesn't work. It's not possible. Something's wrong. It's not going to work. It's not going to make any sense. And at the end, it does make sense. So, it's very good. I really like it. And if you've never read Agatha Christie or haven't read this one, I recommend this one. It's really good. And it also fits the 2x2 theme because the detective here is Poirot, so the famous Hercule Poirot, but he enlists the help of the narrator, who is a youngish doctor. He's not 25 years old, but he's not 85 either. So he enlists the help of the local doctor. And it's sort of a 2x2, two detectives somewhat. And that was good. So that is what I read for March Mystery Madness. So I hope you enjoyed your mystery in the month of March, and for my part, I still have a whole bunch of mysteries, and I will not wait for next March to read them. Hopefully. So, well, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine!